Hey everybody, Dave Whitmarsh. Doing a CEO interview here with Lana from Psych Desk and or Psych Test, and we're had a brief conversation over some technical issues that I have. I'm starting to feel my age now more than ever, and and so I got a bit of understanding as far as your history in doing some of these tests and if I'm not mistaken, you're into 30 years.
Yes, yes, we started our company in 1996. And Essentially, we started with just a few tests that were supposed to be a promotional tool for a software that we developed for women. But the software wasn't really catching on, but the tests were. And then a few years later, companies started using our tests for recruitment, and some of them were actually honest enough that they felt bad because everything was free back then. So they felt bad, and they were asking us to pay us money for use of the tests. So that gave us the idea that we should really develop a platform for businesses so that the assessments could be administered in a confidential and respecting the best practices in assessment.
That's interesting. So initially you started out, giving these tests away for free and to help people with their recruiting. But when we had our little call, when I was going through my technology issues, you had said now that you do a fair bit of coaching and leadership development work. So
Mhm.
do you still help with the recruitment aspect, or do you focus more around leadership now?
Uh, we do both. So the recruiting happens kind of on an autopilot. So we have the Arch Profile assessment platform with around 100 different assessments, both self-assessments and 360 assessments. And companies can just sign up and use our tests for recruitment. So there is really not much work for us to do. Um, we also have recruiters and headhunters among our clients and employment agencies and so forth. So they simply use the assessments. They assign the tests themselves, create accounts for the candidates, assign the tests, send them an invitation. Everything happens automatically because we've been actually using artificial intelligence since the 90s to score our tests. This now we are following the new development, but it was kind of interesting that we started with that back then because my business partner is an artificial intelligence engineer. So, and I was a psychologist, so we combined our skills. For recruitment, companies can just sign up and use the assessments on their own, or we can assist if they need help with test selection, for example, for a particular role. Um, in terms of the coaching, that also happened because it was solicited by one of our big clients, and they were using our 360 and they wanted a third party to debrief the results. So that's
Mhm.
how we got into coaching, and I discovered that that's really my passion and my zone of genius because I truly enjoy jumping on a call. I've got 90 minutes to debrief the results of a big 360, and it's extremely fulfilling to start with someone, create the connection very quickly, and then chat with them, work the results into it, and and help them see the patterns in their behavior. It's basically like mapping their their mindscape, and helping them understand where they are coming from, and where these issues, the different blocks that they might have originated in, you know, in their childhood or adolescence or whatever, and then how these patterns no longer serve them, and how it's landing with other people. So this work is utterly satisfying for me, discovering the blind spots and the patterns, and the impact that it has on people. I've debriefed close to 1,000 people at this point,
Wow.
and everybody is from, like completely transfixed as they are learning about themselves. And many of them say that it was a pivotal moment in their life when it finally clicked, the aha moment. Oh my God, this is, I may not intend to come across like that, but this is how it's landing, and I better do something about it.
And that's really interesting, right? And makes perfect sense based off your education, right?
Hmm.
And you could understand the fulfillment behind the job because you're putting your education, your skills into practice with, in most cases, senior people in organizations that you can
Hmm.
see make a difference for them and throughout their organization. So like that has to be,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly, and that's really what is so fulfilling for me,
Hmm.
and that's the trickle down effect, right? Because these are people who are influencing their direct reports, and if they understand something, if they finally get the value of emotions, for example, and how they influence their decisions, even if they pride themselves in being totally logical, like when that clicks, um, they start becoming better leaders, therefore influencing the people on their teams. And if they help create non-toxic environment on their teams, well, those team members are much happier, and that trickles down into their own personal lives. So it's kind of a cascading influence, which I absolutely adore.
Yeah, interesting. Well, so I've personally went through the coaching certificate process, and I just love coaching in general. I just think it's a wonderful thing. But I have to admit that your background, in education psychology would be something that I just wouldn't even be able to factor, right? That's my opinion, and credit to you, right? I just
Oh, thank you.
I don't think that I would have the knowledge or skills if I pursued the coaching to understand some of the psychology and the human reaction and things that are roadblocks for for success and getting over some of those hurdles and diving into things like you mentioned, childhood or growing up or issues. I think that just wouldn't be in my skill set, or I wouldn't think in many coaches' skill set.
Well, that is possible, David. But on the other hand, I go a lot with my intuition. It's like I'm truly fascinated by people. Like I study human behavior. Well, of course, I did that in school, but I'm just kind of naturally curious, and like I reflect on my interactions with others, and I use my empathy a lot to be able to put myself into the shoes of the person I'm talking to, so that I can see the world from their perspective. You see what I mean? So when you are able to do that, and that's a skill that can be learned, And I'm teaching that my coaching clients, because this is extremely helpful in communication and influencing, because leaders should not pull rank every time they need someone to do something, right? Like you want leaders to influence, to kind of have this natural air of authority without forcing people or without micromanaging. So I'm teaching my clients to use empathy so that they can put themselves into the mind of the other person and adjust their communication so that the message gets across and it resonates and it does not offend. And that's really kind of a superpower that can be learned by anyone. So, um, as I said, yes, I have the education. Yes, I have a number of certificates for a variety of modalities, but it's the true curiosity about the other person, the desire to help, and total focus on what's going on in their mind, and just kind of combining all of that. So all
Yeah.
that to
And
say, I'm sure you could learn that as well.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, but also a really good methodology to teach the people that you're working with, as far as the communication downward, as it's if you just look at the demographics and by age in most workforces, the people that are accustomed to and actually perform to some degree with being told what to do, don't ask questions, here you go. They're retiring, right? And they're retiring at a fast rate, and younger, the X's and Y's don't resonate with that behavior at all. And if those X's and Y's have a good skill set that you can tap into, they're not going to be with you in your organization. They're going to find a job that fits them better if you use those tactics. So you're addressing, retention, quality of work, and all things that are really hard to measure. Um, but it's there, right?
It is, but I would actually challenge that idea because while there are people whom we call the worker bees, right? They just want to do their job and go home, and like work is not the focus of their life. However, even people who are like that, when they have an excellent leader who is able to inspire them, they are capable of a lot of things, and they can really get engaged in their work. It's still, a paycheck to get, but they can have fun and then they can contribute. It's really up to the leader to kind of set the atmosphere that they have on their team.
Hmm. Oh,
That's my
totally.
take on that's my take on things.
Yeah, and you're so right. How many times do you see organizations, and well, well, I shouldn't say we've all been in them because I'm talking to somebody that's been in an organization for 30 years, and I myself have only had, a handful of jobs. So, but we all say that the company culture starts at the top, and I've seen so many instances where, HR or leadership tries to create a company culture, and if your C level doesn't follow that same pattern, it just it's not successful, right? No matter how much you try, how much you do, and it probably stems back to that. And not to say that the CEOs are negative, but I'm going to say that some are. It probably stems back to, that the human studies that say what it takes, what 10 or 20 positive things to overcome one negative thing. And so, your training and HR could be, pushing all these things that are really great, but one open mouth from a C-level executive could just just push that aside for a while until you build that trust back up.
That is true, and frequently what I'm saying is that um, the um, uh, like a lot of companies are focusing on culture, right? But it's so misguided. Like it's basically lip service, and uh, the top bananas might be saying, well, we want fast decisions and it's okay to make mistakes. But then people get slapped on the wrist when they actually make a mistake
Mhm.
somewhere down there, right? And the top management tends to be kind of disconnected from what is really going on. And they are not opening the channels of communication. Like they should be on the ground talking to the people who are actually serving the clients, right? They should be picking their brains because not only would they gain valuable information, but they would also get a much easier buy-in from the people who are on the lower ranks
Mhm.
because they feel listened to, right? So uh, it is so important for leaders to have highly developed emotional intelligence um, because that really makes a huge difference. It emotional intelligence makes a difference at any rank of the organization. We've run studies, and not just us, in people in other labs have found the same thing. Even in low-level menial jobs, emotional intelligence makes a difference in
Mhm.
terms of job performance, in terms of job satisfaction, motivation, and so forth. So, of course, it's essential in leaders and in people who are in sales and customer service and project management and so forth. People who work with people, but other things being equal, emotional intelligence beats like the regular intelligence anytime.
Yeah, and sometimes, here's an example that I'll give. In my career, I was probably 23 years old, and I was working for my dad's company selling office supplies, and he had at the time he had the second largest office supply company in Canada, and I had a customer service gentleman, Murray. I won't say his last name, but and Murray was smart, right? He knew his stuff inside and out, and but he had no confidence. And so, we just got to Murray, and he'd call me all the time, "Hey, can I do this or can I do that?" And I just said to him, Murray, you know more than I do, right? Like you've been around longer, you absorb more, and so just make the decision on your own. And he's like, "Well, I can't do that. I need, your permission." And I said, "Well, how about this? Anytime that you think something makes sense and you want to do it, just do it. And if somebody questions it, just say that I said it was okay. And I'll back you up on it, right? Because like I just knew he could do it. And we had a great relationship. We had a great run for, a couple of years where and he just turned, right? He just turned. He felt empowered. He wanted to do more. He got involved, and eventually, the truth is, I actually kind of cursed myself because he ended up getting promoted and taken out of the job that we had a good working relationship with. So, but sometimes people just need to be not afraid, and it really took us having that conversation and me accepting his risk, and he was okay with that, and then we moved forward.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely, because self-confidence is really the like the essential building block for a lot of other characteristics and attitudes and even aptitudes, right? Because and it's actually quite surprising how many leaders struggle with self-confidence.
Hmm.
And if they don't have that, they are not going to take risks. They'll have difficulty making decisions. They will have trouble with what we call managerial courage, the courage to have those difficult conversations, right? They will their influence is going to suffer. They will not speak up in meetings because they keep rehearsing the idea in their mind, even if they think it's good. They don't say so unless they are 100% sure that it's going to fly, right? So innovation suffers, creativity suffers, strategic thinking suffers. So it's a bunch of and comfort with authority, right?
Mm.
And willingness to be vulnerable and to admit mistakes and to ask for advice from the direct reports because they don't want to sound like they don't understand what they are doing, right? So this is a whole cluster that comes up so frequently. That's one of the patterns that I often see in leaders. And then when you uh, not to speak about conflict management, right? And
Mm.
and they frequently know how to resolve conflict if they are thrown into it and they have to deal with it, but they will tiptoe away whenever they can and avoid the conflict. So like in coaching then, once you identify that this is the pattern and you help them regain the confidence, like you helped Murray in a, I don't know if you were officially coaching him, but basically you placed you lent him your confidence,
Hmm.
right? And he felt free to take it in, and then he could fly. It can be addressed by the coach as well, or by the manager, right? So
Hmm.
encouragement and working on the underlying aspects of the lack of self-confidence is key in this, right? So just knock out all the different blocks and the outdated life scripts that we have in our mind, that little voice that's telling us what we can and cannot do. When you get that out of the way, um, then people can bloom because all these other areas that were affected by the self-confidence, suddenly the person feels empowered, as you said, and all other things are falling into place. So with one I hate the expression killing one bird with or two birds with one stone, but you know what I
Hmm.
mean. Like you
Hmm.
you you tackle one thing, and it just spreads out, and the person gets much better at their job very quickly, and can form better connections with others.
100%. It was really amazing. And you can see it all the time, right? Really, that there's some people in organizations that just know so much, but maybe they just don't share it. And is there and
Hmm.
they'll share it over a lunch with a friend or to somebody they work with, but they certainly won't share it to their manager. Right. And so where's the apprehension, right? Is it fear? Is it, is it fear? Well, it's all a form of fear, I'm sure, right?
Hmm.
Whatever it might be, because I can guarantee you that the person that's been with the company for a long period of time that has all this knowledge wants nothing more than success for the company, right? They're not hoarding it for personal, profitable, to increase their status or anything. They're just afraid to tell it, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, yeah. It is the fear of failure in a way. And again, it depends on the manager, right? Because the manager can solicit these things and can make it safe for people to contribute, even if it's not something that will be implemented, right? Like in Brainstorm, you have to suspend judgment and just shoot those ideas. But if you are afraid to make a fool of yourself, of course you're not gonna put out there some wacky ideas, but those wacky ideas can inspire someone else to come up with something that is actually doable, right? So the manager's job is to to hold the space for innovation, for creative thinking, for creative problem solving. And the team member's job is to overcome these outdated concepts of self and just show up as themselves, in full bloom. And it's totally possible, and it can happen really fast. I mean,
Mhm.
I've had clients who took leaps forward, like with 2-3 session programs. The company wouldn't pay for something bigger, so we had 3 sessions, and they completely transformed their way of thinking. Once these things are brought to the surface and they understand it and they get some tools to work it.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Well, that's good stuff. I'm sure there's a few really good successes that are very fulfilling for you that you've had over those 30 years. And so
Absolutely.
y- and maybe we can, if you ever think of any good examples, we'll happily jump back on the phone and we can take a look at, what you did, how you roadmap that and the outcomes, that would be fun to sort of video document that. But so I guess I want to get a better understanding for anybody that's listened here to who or what you know they might have or you might have that would be of interest to them. So we have the assessments that you work. It sounds like you work with staffing agencies, recruiters. They can,
Hiring managers, yes.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so so uh, we have a number of job specific tests, like for sales, for managers, of course. We've got we have security guards, we have IT kind of job fit from the mindset and personality perspective, with some logical thinking as well. We've got IQ tests, we've got analytical reasoning, so a lot of transferable skills from communication to emotional intelligence. That is definitely our bestseller. um, um, some IQ tests, communication, assertiveness, social skills, conflict skills. Like if people go to archprofile.com, that's arch profile.com. We have a test catalog right on the main page, and you can look through the assessments. So for hiring, definitely many of these assessments are quite useful, including motivation, for instance. And then for career development, there are either self-assessments, again, to help them gain self-understanding, or 360 assessments, which are powerful eye-opening exercises,
Mhm.
because those are really difficult to argue with, and cheat on. So
And how do you get the 360 feedback based off the assessment? Is there a little technology behind that?
oh, yes, of course. So you select a group of raters. So it's a multi-rater assessment. So you might ask your manager. Typically, there would be manager,
Mhm.
there would be peers, there might be direct reports if you are in a leadership position. There might be internal, external clients, and you ask all these people to evaluate you. So they run through the questionnaire, And then our system tabulates the results and prints out a report where you have a little table and you can see, and it's color coded as well, and you can see on the different aspects that are assessed on the 360 how your self-rating differs from your managers and your peers and so forth. And like when you look at those pages, it just jumps out at you.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you see patterns people are highly rated by the manager, but they have poor relationships with their peers, or the other way around. So when you see discrepancies like that, really the basic skill is there. It's just that the person is not applying those skills. So sometimes people might feel freer with their among their peers or with internal clients, but when it comes to communication with management, they block, right? So their
Mhm.
manager might think that they don't have any creative problem solving, but their peers give them. Sometimes I see like this. It's on a scale from 0 to 100. Sometimes I see like 80-point difference, 80,
Wow.
80, right? So there is something going on, and these are the patterns that the coach can detect. And we are, by the way, we are offering these 360s to coaches as well, so that they can use it with their clients. So it's not
Hmm.
just selling directly to the companies. So those are typically the in terms of the assessment. So pre-employment, career or leadership development, and then we offer the coaching and debrief services.
Wonderful. Yeah. So anybody that's watched us or listened, if you just look below, there'll be links that you can take a look or contact information. So everywhere that I posted, it'll be there. Or on the landing page at least. I don't think I'll be able to fit it all out on a Twitter post or an X post, but um, wherever you end up, it'll be there, and ways that you can get in touch and have a conversation and see if this is a good fit for your organization, your career, in cases of agencies or other coaches, your business, right?
Mhm.
Sounds like some good resources for a lot of people, and I hope they find you and have a conversation.
Thank you. And also, we offer free trial, like all blows and whistles. So if
Hmm.
anybody is interested, you can ask for a free trial, and you can try it out and see if it works for you.
Wonderful. Perfect. Okay. Anything else? Any parting words?
Well, parting words, it would be careful how you treat your people if you are in a leadership position, because without them, you have no purpose.
Hmm. Yeah, true. And headaches trying to get them replaced and up to speed to productivity and all sorts of good stuff. So sometimes that's a good little reminder to think, right?
Yeah, because leaders are here to serve ultimately,
Hmm.
just like our politicians, right?
Hmm.
They were elected to serve, and sometimes people lose sight of that, and that's
Oh,
too bad.
brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and I appreciated meeting you today. It was
Likewise,
fun
thank you.
and continued success. And if, like I said, I'd happily, if we ever want to document anything or run through a process that you think would be of value in any form or entertaining, let's do it. It would be fun.
Awesome. All right,
Okay.
so we'll be in touch. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Bye now.
Bye bye.